this is PwllDdu, and welcome back to another podcast episode. Today I'm going to be discussing the Doctor Who animated missing episodes. Now, since 2008, the BBC has been releasing these missing episodes, animated episodes, sort of trying to fill in the gaps for missing episodes. And I absolutely commend them for that. And honestly, I think it's one of the best things that they have ever tried to do. Now, before we begin, I just want to put a reminder out just to subscribe if you haven't done already, because for some reason my subscriber count is stuck at 301 at the time of recording. I have never seen it go any higher, so please prove me wrong by subscribing and also liking the video. If you do subscribe, please hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when I next upload. And also, please follow me on Twitter and Instagram for more updates. Anyway, without further ado, let's crack on into it. So, the first missing episodes that were animated were the Invasion episodes 1 and 4. And they were animated by Cosgrove Hall Studios, which is actually more famous for doing things like Count Duckula and Danger Mouse than Doctor Who, but they had previously done Scream of the Shalka, and they also did The Infinite Quest as well. But yeah, they were both acceptable animations, and they were asked to animate the episodes of the two missing episodes of the Invasion. Now, I have to say I really like the animations, but they set the benchmark for future animations, and so they had to be good. Otherwise, the BBC wouldn't serve commissions anymore. I mean, it took them years, but the animation episode, the animation for the Invasion was really good, and I absolutely applaud them for that. It was really good. Anyway, the next missing episodes actually came years and years later, in the form of the Reign of Terror, which came out in 2013. And I have to admit, the animation for this is alright. The story isn't great, but I think it's entertaining enough. But yeah, there's something about the animation for the Reign of Terror. It was done by Planet 55, who would now Big Finish Creative, I believe, but they were so good at other missing episodes, and they were a bit time constraints with this one, and budget constraints as well. So, and it shows a bit, but I quite like the 3D movements of the characters, and it's actually really nice seeing them. But they did a much better job with that. The 10th Planets and the Moon Base, which I'll get onto in a few minutes. But yeah, the episodes 4 and 5 of the Reign of Terror were done, and I have to say it's all right. But yeah, they I'm going around in circles now, but they improved better for the 10th Planet and the Moon Base. Speaking of, actually, we're not quite at that point yet, because there's actually another animation which came in between the Reign of Terror and the 10th Planet, and that is the Ice Warriors. And I have to admit, I really like the animation style for the Ice Warriors. It was done by Curious Entertainment, I believe, or Curious Studios. I can't remember what they were actually called, but it's Curious. And I have to say, it's their animation style is more cartoony than the others, in a way, and I quite like that. It reflects the episodes quite well, I think, and and complements the stories well. I sort of just wish that it's been a little bit more grainy, but I really like the invasion. But the Ice Warriors. But the story is alright. It's not everyone's favourite, but I enjoy it. And it's got a fantastic cast in it as well. So Peter Sallis, who played who later did the voice for Wallace and Wallace and Gromit, is in it, and he's alongside Bernard Bresslaw, who's better known from the Carry On films, and they're both known for stuff outside Doctor Who, really. But it's really nice to see them with those roles in Doctor Who, even though they're sort of smallish one-off roles. I have to say it's really good. It's really entertaining. Plus, the suits that was worn by Bernard Bresslaw is still in existence. It was displayed at the Doctor Who Experience in Cardiff until it's closed down a few years ago. But it's still in existence, and I know that the BBC are no better than to throw it away. A sort of, priceless artifacts from a cult TV series. They're not just gonna throw it away. Speaking of, they did that to a lot of the missing episodes. So So I was watching a video on YouTube by Josh Sneers, actually, who, if you haven't checked him out, please do. He does a lot of stuff about the missing episodes and their history and so on. But apparently in the 1990s, the BBC had a phone call from a TV station somewhere in Africa. I can't remember where. But they said, hi, do you want the complete seasons of... do you want the complete Doctor Who seasons 1 and 2? And this would have included Marco Polo and the missing episodes of the Crusades and also the Reign of Terror. And whoever received the phone call at the BBC said no. And then they said, okay, we'll destroy them then. And I can't believe that's happened, and so recently as well. It was just mind-blowing to me how recently it was, and I mean, and I would have saved so much money because they wouldn't have had to commission the animations for the Reign of Terror, and also it would have avoided controversies a bit better because Marco Polo and the Crusades especially are controversial because of political correctness now. They have Caucasian actors playing playing characters of different ethnicities, so they have so blackface and things. And I think that if those episodes were still in existence, then they wouldn't have then the animation teams wouldn't have to dance around that, because a lot of people were expecting, including myself actually, we were expecting the 2 episodes of The Crusade to be animated, since they're the only 2 missing episodes of the entirety of season 2 that don't exist, lots of people like to see it and complete that season, but no, they've sort of danced around it because they're a bit too complicated, and also the blackface and things. But one day I'm hoping that both Marco Polo and the Crusades will be animated, and we will have to see what happens next, or that actually they might be recreated. I don't know, like they did with the Mission to the Unknown. But anyway, the next story is The 10th Planet, which was released as an animation. And there's only 1 episode missing of The 10th Planet, and heartbreakingly, it's the 4th episode, which is one of the most historic Doctor Who episodes ever, because the Doctor regenerates for the very first time at the end of the episode. Fortunately, we do have that footage still in existence, because Blue Peter borrowed 10th Planet Episode 4 to use that clip, but they never returned it. So there is a possibility that it's still out there somewhere, waiting to be found. I will come back to this. I will come back to missing episodes which were found and then lost in a little bit. But it's interesting that 10th Planet Episode 4 might still exist, and I think that if, to be honest, I honestly think that if any of the episodes that have been animated do come to light, so for instance, you never know, in 2 years' time they might find the entirety of the evil of the Daleks and the power of the Daleks, and I think it'll be interesting to see how the BBC go about releasing those, because they've already released Power of the Daleks twice and Evil of the Daleks once, so but as animations, but it'll be interesting to see how they face up against each other, how the originals face up against the animation, and so on. But this is just hypothetical so far, so I'm not promising anything, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see, really, because I can't guarantee that any more episodes of Doctor Who are going to come back, and if they do come back, then I'm not going to know what they are. But anyway, moving on, the next animation, or the next animation to be released was, I believe, give me a moment, the Moonbase. And people have said that the Moonbase has got the best animation out of the OG animated episodes, as it were, animated episodes before 2016. And I have to say, I really like the animation of the Moonbase, but the DVD release is a bit lacking, in my opinion. I wish there was another disc or whatever, but it's not as lacking as the DVD release of The Underwater Menace, which feels like it was just slapdashed. So I think so. Yeah, lots of people, again, including myself, were expecting Underwater Menace to be animated, but it wasn't. It was instead given a telesnap reconstruction. Telesnaps, by the way, are off-air screenshots, as it were. So how can I describe them? So it's basically like taking photographs on your phone of the television screen. It's exactly like that. But with the telesnaps, they did it every few seconds, and in the olden days, in the 60s, directors could order telesnaps to have a record of their work, and a lot of directors did it, so much so that there's an almost complete record of telesnaps of Patrick Troughton's Second Doctor. There are only a few stories that don't have telesnaps, Space Pirates being one of them, and Invasion being another, and a few others, which the episodes do exist, mercifully. But with the Hartnell stories, there's a bit more hit and miss. But actually, the first animation which has accompanying telesnaps was actually the Ice Warriors. So there you go. So the Invasion and Reign of Terror don't have telesnaps, and the same with Galaxy 4, which is going to be coming up. So they've got a bit more creative liberty, but not that they regard the telesnaps in that way, really. But yeah, Planet 55, who were slated to animate the Underwater Menace, and they also did the animation for the Moonbase and 10th Planet and Reign of Terror. A lot of people have pointed out that it feels like the telesnaps have come to life, and they're the most accurate animations out of any of them, and I think there's a grain of truth to that, and it makes me wish that they had been commissioned to do more, like definitely in the Underwater Menace, and possibly the Crusades as well, just to complete that season. But I'm still hoping for some sort of release of the Underwater Menace. I don't know when it will be out, but I'm really hoping that it does come out at some point. Anyway, we then had a period of no animations because they ran out of episodes to release. So all the Stock 2 fans were sort of twiddling our thumbs, and then they announced that The Power of the Daleks was going to be released. And I can remember sitting on, it was the 5th of November or something, 2016, and I was sitting in front of the computer on BBC Store, and my hand was hovering over the over the button, or the mouse cursor was hovering over the button to sorry, I've just clicked myself, to buy The Power of the Daleks, and it was to be released precisely 50 years after it first did, and as soon as the clock hit 5 o'clock or whatever, I just clicked buy, and I was one of the first 1,000 people to buy The Power of the Daleks. And I got art cards as a reward from BBC Store, and I still have them there. I still treasure them. And it was really nice of them to send those as a sort of reward, just to say thank you for expressing your interest. But anyway, the animation was alright. They did re-release it last year or the year before as a special edition, because they didn't have enough time or whatever to on the original. So they refined it, but I have to admit, the animation is a bit jarring on Power of the Daleks first time around. I haven't actually seen the special edition yet, but I want to at some point. I might buy it digitally, but I have to say, although the animation is quite jarring, I really, really like the animation for the Daleks themselves. I just think that's just so smooth. And just checking that I am still recording, and I believe I am. If you've just seen my screensaver, I do apologise. But yeah, what was I saying? Oh yes, I was talking about The Power of the Daleks, wasn't I? Yeah. The animation for the Daleks is very, very smooth, and I've actually noticed with the new animations, especially, that the animation of inanimate objects or non-humanoid objects is actually really, really good, and it carries on throughout to the present day even, with the latest release, and I just think that the inanimate objects animation is really good. But then again, inanimate objects are easier to animate than humanoids, which is fair enough. Anyway, the next release came 2 years later, actually. Well, actually, you could say it came out end of 2017, with the release of Sharda as an animation, and I bought Sharda as a DVD, and because I didn't buy the steelbook for that because I already had the extra content supplied in the steelbook, so I went with the standard DVD release, and I just watched this on my laptop, and I just thought, oh, this is okay. It's a bit weird because the actor's voices age for the animated bits, so it wasn't that consistent, and also it was 2.5 hours long, and yeah, there you go. It has been cut down to 6 parts now, for the collection release, season 17 release, which I think is okay, but yeah, I think they should have done that first time around, because to be honest, I much prefer the 1992 VHS version, which is actually split into 6 parts with linking narration by Tom Baker. not in character, but just as Tom Baker. And I have to say, I really, really like Sharda. And then I got the novelization, and I really enjoyed the novelization too. It's really good. Um, it's very Douglas Adams-ish, I have to admit. But yeah, Gareth Roberts did an amazing job on Sharda as a novelization. But I digress. The next missing episode's animation was the Macro Terror, and a lot of people have held this up as being the best animation, and I have to admit it is really, really good. There are a few bits that they're missing, so there's a rough and tumble scene, or well, the rough and tumble scene, as they refer to it, which is missing, and they cut that because of time. But yeah, I have to admit I really enjoy the animation for the Macro Terror, and they have paid attention to the telesnaps. Well, they did that with Power of the Daleks as well to some extent, but I rewatched it recently in color, and the animation is really, really good. It was a co-production between BBC Studios and Sun and Moon Studios, and I think Sun and Moon Studios have shut down. That's just a guess, but if they haven't, I do apologise. But yeah, Sun and Moon Studios did the animation, and they did a really good job. I mean, this one was actually the first one to be done in color as well, and it's alright in color actually. I normally watch the missing episodes in black and white, simply because it matches the continuity of every other Doctor Who 60s story. And of course the continuity of the original animated episodes before BBC Studios took over. Yeah, I mean, watching this in color isn't too bad. So, in preparation for this video, I actually went back and watched them in color because I hadn't seen them in color, but I had seen them in black and white. And I have to admit, on some of them, I actually prefer the black and white. But there are bits in Fury from the Deep that I actually prefer in colour, but we'll get on to Fury from the Deep in a little bit. Also, with Macro Terror, they paid attention to the surviving footage as well, which, like the telesnaps, was achieved by somebody pointing a homemade movie camera at the screen, and they just did a few seconds, and they were later matched to the audio very cleverly. Audio supplied by Graham Strong, mostly, who does very high-quality recordings, but he wasn't the only fan who recorded the missing episodes, so there were a good few others all over the world, actually. So the audio for the Invasion and the Space Pirates came from an Australian fan. And but yeah, Graham Strong recorded the majority of them, and they are really good quality. And they did this so frequently that yeah, we've now got every single Doctor Who episode existing in audio in the BBC archives, which is mad. I have listened to all the missing episodes on CD. And when I put Marco Polo in, which was the first one in the collection, I listened to the theme tune once, and then I listened to it again, and I just thought, I'm probably never going to see this episodes, and that was what was going through my head. I'm probably not going to see this episode for real, so I might as well watch it. And originally, I was listening to it, and I had a copy of Doctor Who magazine open in front of me because there's a series with telesnaps, and most of the telesnaps for Marco Polo are in existence. So I was listening while essentially reading along to try and create a picture in my head. You can actually do this, so you can download the missing episodes from Audible, and you can then log on to the BBC website and the old Doctor Who website, They have photo books there of the missing episodes where you can actually go through them while listening. So, and it's apparently a really good way of visualizing it. So I can remember there was an editor of Doctor Who magazine who did exactly that. And when he wrote a feature on the Enemy of the Worlds, when it came back, he said that it was like deja vu. He felt that he had seen it before, even though it had just been discovered. Simply because he had listened to the soundtrack whilst going through the photo books. Anyway, the next animated story was the Faceless Ones. The Faceless Ones animation isn't as good a quality as the Macro Terror, but I have to say it is passable. And I have a soft spot for the Faceless Ones. In fact, I always have. Because I don't like airports, but I like flying, and I think, well, I digress. But it's just a good story. It's a really good story, and I think it's really enjoyable. It's very contemporary, and I think that episode in particular sort of set the groundwork for present day stories such as later down the line, such as the invasion, and it works really, really well. Again, I saw it in color, and so I just thought, yeah, it's okay. But when I first heard the news that they were going to animate all 6 episodes, so 2 are still existing in the archive, I just thought, well, why are they animating all 6? They've only why? But I can see why they did it, just to keep the continuity for the whole serial. Because most of the episodes are animated, and so they might as well animate the 2 which are still in existence, so that they can keep the continuity. But if you want to keep the continuity with the missing episodes, well, with the existing episodes, I should say, then they do have the option of doing that. So on the disc menu, you've got the choice of watching the original episode 1 and then animated episode 2, original episode 3, and then animated episodes 4 through 6, or you can do episodes 1 through 6 animated. It's totally up to you. I normally throw in the original existing episodes because I like seeing how they match up and things, and they do match up really well. They've paid close attention to the ending and beginnings of those episodes so that they can match the animation with them. And they did that with Evil of the Daleks as well, but I'll get to that later. Next missing story to be animated was the... It wasn't the anything, it was Fury from the Deep, which is the only Patrick Troughton story not to have the at the beginning of the title, but it does have the in the middle. So yeah, I don't know why, but Victor Pemberton could have called it the Fury from the Deep, I suppose. But Fury from the Deep sets us apart from all the others, and there's also a beloved Doctor Who story. And the animation, I think they did a good job on the animation. I think they got the scale quite. I think they got the scale right, and it's good. Plus, it's got that very, very famous clip of Mr. Oak and Mr. Quill from one of the offcuts. So it's not an offcut; it's a censor clip. So the ABC in Australia actually cuts clips of Doctor Who because they thought, this is a family show. It's that's a bit too scary. Let's cut it. But the clips are in high quality, and the clip of Mr. Oak and Mr. Quill with gas coming out of their mouths is iconic, and it's really well done in the animation as well. Especially as you can see the gas coming out of their mouths. They've actually animated that, and it's really well animated. I have to admit, the Big Finish Creative did the animation for the View from the Deep, and I have to admit, I think it's a bit of a step down, as Planet 55, which later became Big Finish Creative, was really good, and I really enjoyed Planet 55's animation. But I have to admit, the animation for Fury from the Deep isn't bad in the slightest. It's actually quite good. I find it good. But yeah, I just wish that it was a bit better, I suppose. But I'm not really complaining. It's a good story and it's good animation. And I'm looking forward to them doing Galaxy 4, but I'll get to that in a few minutes. Now, the next one would be... let me think. I think it was the Web of Fear, which they announced in November 2020, and they also released the trailer at the same time. And as soon as I saw the trailer, I just thought, what's the animation? So this animation was done by Shapeshifter Studios, and it is dramatically different from any other animation because it uses motion capture, and I mean the character likenesses aren't that good, and I think they could refine the process quite a bit more, but the movements are just too unnatural to me. It's I just prefer 2D animation to that, and I think a lot of people agree with me because they've all said that the animation for Fury from the Deep isn't the best. No, I beg your pardon. The Web of Fear isn't the best, but mercifully it's just one episode. But I was actually hoping that they wouldn't animate the third planet, third part of the Web of Fear, because episode 3 of the Web of Fear is still in existence. And we know it's still in existence because Philip Morris, who discovered both the Web of Fear and Enemy of the World in Jos in Nigeria, he actually found all 6 episodes of the Web of Fear. But only 5 were returned to the BBC because during negotiations, one of those episodes, episode 3, went missing. And they think that it was as a station employee in the broadcast station who stole it and then sold it on to a friend or a film collector. And Philip Morris was trying for 2 years to try and track this episode down again, but to no avail. And he eventually gave in and said to the BBC, "Okay, here are all your episodes. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to do a reconstruction of Web of Fear episode 3." But yeah, they were discovered in 2011, and the announcement didn't come until late 2013. They were going to be available immediately. There were rumours around at the time about missing episodes being rediscovered, and I can remember watching one YouTube video. I can't remember which one, but he says, "I have a friend who works in." But the presenter says, "I've got a friend who works in Perivale at the BBC archive, and definitely said there's some Hartnells in there." And I just thought, well, that's wrong now, isn't it? But yeah, the rumours were nearly true. So the rumours I can remember were over 100 missing episodes of Doctor Who have been rediscovered, and everyone was so excited and things. I mean, it wasn't 100 episodes, but it was 9 episodes, but it was still a lot. I mean, we were spoiled, really. But yeah, the entirety of the Enemy of the World was fantastic. I mean, audience appreciation for the story rose spectacularly. And Web of Fear, which always sat very high in audience appreciation anyway, just stayed there because everyone likes the Web of Fear, and especially episode 1, which is very gothic and things. And it's a really good story. I really like it. But yeah, I have to admit that the animation for episode 3 isn't the best. And I'm sorry, but Shapeshifter, please spend more time on refining the way that the characters look and move, please. Apart from that, I don't really mind it too much. But I much prefer it in black and white, especially this one, because the color looks a bit too jarring, and yeah, it just looks better in black and white. Web of Fear generally, because it sort of matches the darkness of the London Tube, where it's virtually black and white anyway, rather than greens and things. Ugh. But anyway, this brings us on to the latest release, which is The Evil of the Daleks. At the time of recording this, I haven't actually seen the entirety of Evil of the Daleks. I've got one episode left, but I have to admit the animation for it is spectacular. It really is. It's some of the best, and not Power. Evil of the Daleks is a beloved story, and I think BBC have done a really good job of animating it, and they actually spent 18 months on this project, and they normally spend 12 months I think, on missing episodes, I heard, but on this one they spent 18 months, and they refined it so much that to try and make it as perfect as possible, and it works really well. I like Evil of the Daleks as a story anyway, and I especially like the Emperor Dalek, especially in the last episodes, because he seems the most human out of all the Daleks in a way. So for instance, there's a scene in last episodes where one of his bodyguards, ones with the black domes, comes into the throne room and says something along the lines of, "Your Majesty, there was a Dalek out there, and he disobeyed, and he questioned an order." And the Emperor Dalek sort of goes, "What? It was one of the test Daleks." I think either Peter Hawkins or David Graham, who did the voices, whoever did the voice for the Emperor, was meant to make him sound outraged, but instead he sounds a bit surprised. Sort of, what? So I really like that. That makes me that tickles me a bit. But I have to admit, I also quite like his last words and the irony. So it's "This is your Emperor," looks at his watch, speaking. "You may not fight in here. Do not fight in here. I said obey." And of course they fight in there. When the civil war ensues, and it was meant to be the final Dalek story, and because Terry Nation wanted to take the Daleks over to America, he even wrote a pilot episode called The Destroyers, which was never made, but was later released as a Big Finish audio drama. Now, this isn't actually the end of the Daleks, because they reappeared in Day of the Daleks by Louis Marks, and then Terry Nation called the BBC up and says, "You know, the Daleks are still my intellectual property." And so they said, "Oh, we better ask him back quickly." So they asked him back, and he did the Planet of the Daleks, and then Death of the Daleks, and then Genesis of the Daleks, which is people consider to be one of the best Doctor Who stories of all time, and it's really good. But I digress. Evil of the Daleks is a really good story, and I love the animation. Especially at the end of episode 6, where we're introduced to the Emperor for the first time, and he's just shrouded in darkness, and we just see his lights come on, and he looks really imposing, and just love it. Anyway, the next upcoming animation release is Galaxy 4. Now, Galaxy 4 is interesting because it's episode 1 actually has even though episode 1 is missing, it's got a very lengthy clip which was used for a documentary, I believe. And the clip is about 5 or 10 minutes long. So they've actually got quite a hefty chunk of episode 1 still in existence. And it's a good chunk. People often point to that as being the best clip of the best surviving clip of any missing episodes of Doctor Who, and I can see why. It's really good. Also, episode 3 was rediscovered 10 years ago now, and one of the people who brought it back was Ralph Montague, who's actually he's a life peer. He's a graphic designer who's also a life peer. I can't remember what his title is, but he's the Lord Montague of Bewley, Ralph Montague or Rafe Montague, whatever, and he's also a massive Doctor Who fan. So, hello, Rafe, Ralph, if you're watching, hiya. Really love your work getting Galaxy 4 back. And I hope you enjoy running around the estate in your cars, because that National Motor Museum is in Bewley, for those of you who don't know. But it's all okay, and I'm glad that it was returned safely. But interestingly, it actually is on my birthday. Although it wasn't my birthday, it was later to become my birthday. About 30 plus years later, 32 years later, precisely. So there you go. There's one way of tracking me down. But yeah, that. So I really like that, and I really like the fact that it's gonna come up, and you will get an unboxing of the Steelbook coming up. So yeah, that's all well and good. Now let's go on to missing episodes that haven't been released yet. So apparently they are actually doing the Abominable Snowmen, which is a release that I have been looking forward to for ages. I mean, I've always been holding my breath that the Abominable Snowman is going to come up, and apparently it actually is now. So I am excited for it. But what happens after that? Will they continue to do more Patrick Troughton stories? Will they actually do the Underwater Menace and the Crusades? Because those are the only two now which only have 2 missing episodes missing, but they'll probably animate all 4. So I'd probably say that they're going to do most of the 4-part stories. Or actually, they might do all of the 6 and 7-part stories first. So I'm thinking that they might do the Wheel in Space, which actually has part of part 1 animated, part of episode 1 animated. It was released with the Macro Terror on as a special feature, and it is really good. It's really good animation. I love the animation for the robots, who has its own special animator. So well done you. That's amazing animation for the little robots. But yeah, the Wheel in Space, I think will probably come up. It's already had its own reconstruction on BritBox, I believe, but apparently it hasn't gone down very well, because there are better reconstructions out there, and that's fair enough. But yeah, I think that Wheel in Space might be a strong contender for a missing episodes release. I also think that what else would be good? Space Pirates, I think they should do as well, just to get it off their chests, because I think they're delaying it because it's never been a popular story. but I think that they ought to release it just to get it off the chest and just to say, okay, we're doing this one next, but we'll concentrate on others a bit more, which we all want, which we want you to enjoy. So I think they'll probably do that, but I'm not guaranteeing it. But yeah, Abominable Snowmen I really want to see. I'm really fond of that story. Perhaps more fond of it than I am with the Faceless Ones. But don't tell the Faceless Ones that. What else would I like to see? I'd like to see the Highlanders and the Smugglers as well, because those are the only two stories left to animate of season 4, and season 4 is a really historic season as well, because it introduces not just the concept of regeneration, but also the Cybermen, and it's got the final end of the Daleks. So that's really historic season to do. But yeah, I'd like to see them all animated. I'm going to be honest, but I'm just putting priorities right. I think that they'd probably do the Daleks Master Plan as the final one. And I say that because it's a monster. It's really, really long, and I think that you've got to be a bit soft in the head in order to try and try and bash that one out as quickly as possible, because it's not going to happen. It's 12 episodes long. I think they're probably going to spend at least 18 months on it, like they did with Evil of the Daleks. If not longer. But I think that they're going to do that one last, because everyone wants to see it, and it's also quite cyclical. They started with the Dalek story, and they should end with the Dalek story as well, because the Daleks are popular, and Dalek's Master Plan is especially popular. I also think that they should animate the stories that have come out on vinyl as well. So, for instance, the Mythmakers and Marco Polo have both come out on vinyl, as well as the Massacre of St. Bartholomew's Eve. I'd actually quite like to see the Celestial Toymaker as well, and I think I have just named pretty much all of them, apart from the Savages, which I'd also like to see animated, but yeah, now I have actually said them all, so I mentioned all of them, so but yeah, Marco Polo, the Crusades, the Mythmakers, the Massacre, the Savages, the Smugglers, the Highlanders, the Abominable Snowmen, the Wheel in Space, and the Space Pirates. I'd like to see all of those animated, please. And I know that's pretty much all of them. In fact, is it all of them? Yes, it is. Please tell me if I'm wrong in the comments, and I'll be embarrassed and say, "Oh, yes, I got that wrong." But yeah, I'd like to see all of them animated at some point. But I'm patient. I can wait, to quote Thranduil. But yeah. Anyway, yeah. Thank you very much for listening, and congratulations if you got this, if you got this far through the video. Yeah, and your reward is you get more of me. So yeah, so register, please subscribe, and hit the bell icon to be notified whenever I upload a new video. I normally upload videos every other Monday at 5 o'clock, or at least that's what I aim for. I sometimes miss, but yeah, there you go. Anyway, this video has been a long one, and actually, how long has it been? Oh, has been long. But yeah, thank you very much for listening to me rambling on, and I shall see you again in 2 weeks' time, where I will be doing something I've never done before, but I'm hoping that people will enjoy it. Thank you very much, and